Daniel here from the Truck Insurance Channel, and today I'm interviewing Jorie Myers. If you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you.
My name is Jorie Myers. I am the owner of Atlanta Dispatch and the host of the Transportation and Logistics Clubhouse podcast. That's me. I am a logistics consultant, been in the industry now for some time. I'm enjoying it though.
Yeah, man. No problem. Happy to have you on. So first thing I want to ask about is the dispatch business. Tell me how you got there, and then tell me about it.
I got into the independent dispatch agency business because I was a dispatcher for a corporation. I was dispatching for an organization that had about 700 trucks. I was personally responsible for dispatching about 13 dry vans. So it definitely kept me busy on a day to day. Now, how did I actually end up doing this as the owner of Atlanta Dispatch? Well, COVID hit. It was March 2020, and I was in the swing of things. I had my brokers that I was hitting up on the regular, getting a lot of dedicated opportunities. But because nobody really knew what the impact was going to be from COVID, my company fired 10 of the 13 drivers that I was dispatching. And these were great drivers. I say it all the time, man, especially now that I've had exposure to so many different owner operators and, company drivers for the different fleets. These were top notch drivers. So the fact that they got fired, and that was my main role, was to find them freight opportunities. I wanted to be able to make sure that I could still bring in income. So I basically took the skills that I learned working for this corporation, did a lot of research and interviewing of people who were doing the independent dispatch agencies. I got the game I needed to get to, start my own organization. And, that's how Atlanta Dispatch came to be. It's been a whirlwind. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been We've had highs. Yeah, we've had highs, in the golden age of trucking. We were all counting the cash, man. It was great. It was amazing. And then we have to think about the last 18 months, which has been very, very soft market.
Yeah.
And as a result, there's been a lot of motor carriers who have been pushed out of the market.
I see it on the insurance side. We still get a lot of people getting into the business. We've got plenty of customers that are growing, like especially after, truck prices have come down a little bit. The used market, it got just absolutely insane during COVID. I feel you there. I see it on the insurance side too.
As a dispatcher, you get to learn so many different things. You interact with so many different roles and positions within the supply chain. So it's been good to me.
So obviously with like changes in the market, a kind of trending topic is pivoting operations, like switching up, what do you haul, where do you go, all that. So what do you see around that, and like what kind of things could you suggest or just talk about?
My own experience, I started with box trucks. It gave me a ground floor on how expedite freight moves. And if you can get a handle on expedite freight, you really prepare yourself to handle anything when it comes to over the road trucking.
Yeah.
Then I pivoted over to the semis just because that's what I was taught on when I first started dispatching. And, the industry isn't necessarily made for box trucks. So you can get opportunities on DAT for a box truck, but just know whenever you see that load posted, 1,000, maybe 10,000 other dispatchers and owner operators have also seen it. And if you're not calling immediately, you're probably not going to get it. And you have to be so on alert. I felt like I had better use of building relationships to be able to get opportunities that way. So I pivoted over to the semis, and, that was cool. But then we talked about the market getting super soft, and it became almost the same exact thing as with the box trucks. Carriers underbidding one another, undercutting on the rates, which means it's a race to the bottom. And I said, okay, well, if that's what's happening, how about I do something that is all relationship based, which means I pivoted once again to Drayage. It's been interesting. It's project based, it's different, but the whole point is if you have the relationship, you have the freight that can continue to, need to get moved.
I always like to say transportation is very much a relationship based business, and that's just general across the board, any type of transportation operation. But do you feel like it's more relationship based in the drayage world?
100%. It definitely is. I mean, it's so much so that I have gone to networking events. I have seen the person who is in charge and, their subordinates when I'm networking with them about, how can I get on these different opportunities is you just need to talk to that person. So it is very much relationship based. That's a pro for some people and it's a con for others. It just depends on your strengths.
Yeah, yep. Like it doesn't matter if you're a trucking company owner, truck driver, any other type of like literally every single thing career wise you could possibly do. You still have some sort of relationship management, sales type of role that you got to fulfill. Because if all you're going to do for the rest of your life is rely on the load boards, that can be tough. Like there's obviously times during like COVID and whatnot where it's just insane and that's all you got to do. But I think long term, you got to build relationships no matter what. And you got to be able to do that. Little background: we're pretty much just doing hot shots, box trucks, regular dry van, semis. From when we started back in 2020 to this time last year, we added a new insurance company we worked with that could do the intermodal UIIA, all that. And I'd say like our most successful customers are either directly in drayage or indirectly involved in it. And those tend to be the ones that, aren't having any issues with billing and growing the most, adding trucks, all that. So I definitely see that. What other areas would you say, or are you just really focused on drayage right now?
Well, the whole point is, you've probably heard this a million times, but the riches are in the niches. So drayage is one of those things that not every carrier can do and not every dispatcher is also able to do. So it's just whatever your niche is, you can make money everywhere. It's just, do you specialize in it? Air import, air export, those are very niche areas. Pharma transport is niche. Even on the construction side of things, I've met more dispatchers who are doing the dump truck dispatching, which is also a niche. Whatever it is, if you're interested in dispatching, is just know you got to work for it.
I get asked all the time, should I get a dispatcher? Right?
Mm.
Especially with the new ventures, because we help a ton of new ventures. And it's like, yeah, get a dispatcher, especially if you aren't comfortable with like the negotiations and hunting for loads and all that. But it's also like if I was going to try and dispatch myself, at what point would you say get a dispatcher?
Let me start by saying this. It just depends, right? It just depends because you're right. You just said if it's within your core competencies and you feel comfortable negotiating, cool. But if it's a matter of you having to park your truck, park your vehicle, and then look at the load board, it might not be the most efficient use of your time.
Yeah, you're just getting a snapshot of what is on the load board when you do that versus someone who's staring at it all day, every day, sometimes all night too, like.
So for that reason, it's just, you might see an opportunity that really pays well. I wouldn't say that's going to be the every time thing. And
No.
if you're living on the spot market, living on those low boards, that's the leftover freight. The majority of freight is allocated to the contract world. So if that's the only way that you plan on moving is to, do drop off your freight opportunity and then get on the low board, there's a lot of business development time that's not being had that a dispatcher could assist with.
Gotcha. I wanted to mention everybody watching, I'll be joining Jorie on his Clubhouse podcast. So August 9th, 7 p.m. That's a Wednesday. If anyone has questions or anything they want to post in the comments, I'll follow up. I can ask Jorie. You can check him out through his podcast and all the other outlets. If anyone wanted to reach you for dispatching services, where do they go?
So if you're interested in reaching out to me for dispatching services, you can go to my website, which is www.atlantadispatch.org, or you can send me an email at onboard@atlantadispatch.org. I would say that I do, like I said, I started with the box trucks, but I am on that semi, on the drayage type of wave right now. So if those are the operations that you have, I would definitely encourage you to reach out. And if you do have a different equipment type, if there's somebody who I can steer you to, I'm more than happy to do that. I network and I have great relationships with a lot of other dispatchers.
Plug that relationship thing one more time. Yeah, it's
And
important. I have like there's the same thing on insurance. Like there's certain things we don't do or don't have access to or just don't really specialize in. Like we don't do much with hazmats, right? But I have agents, other agents I know that can, other agencies. So like just it's always good to have a good network. Also in the links below, there'll be our quote form that you can go to if you need help with insurance to cover UIIA requirements, do the drayage work. Feel free to get a quote with us. We can help you out with that too.